Welcome to Longhorn Network Volleyball, presented by Wells Fargo, here in the capital city of Austin, Texas, the Frank Erwin Center. Part 2 of this heavyweight matchup. Number 3 Baylor, 11-2 on the season. Number 1 Texas, a perfect 11-0 as we take a look at the Big 12 standings. These teams in the Big 12 will conclude their conference season at the end of the fall. An automatic qualifying bid at stake, in Texas in a great position with that 11-0 record and already one win over Baylor. We get to see part 2 here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Tyler Denning, Salima Rockwell, and Salima, wow. Last night, a 5-set match, but it was Baylor that came out, won the first 2 sets. Texas wins 3 in a row. We saw a little bit of everything.
It was a thriller last night. I mean, and that's what we hope to see, and that's exactly what we saw. Baylor came out just absolutely on fire, and it was Baylor Bears that took the lead and really took control of the match early on. Texas was playing a decent level of volleyball, but they ended up turning it around, and the key moment in the match was this touch, the no call on the block. There was a challenge on the play, switched the momentum at a crucial point in the 3rd set. Peterson came through with a huge ace, and then O'Neal finished off the set, and that all the momentum shifted gears at that point in the match.
It was tight in the first 2 sets. Texas with their first 0-2 comeback since November 1st of 2017, but a phenomenal match that we saw last night between these 2 teams. What do you expect to see here this evening?
Well, you know, I think it's going to be another battle. I would expect nothing less. Both teams are going to have the ability to adjust. They're going to be looking at what's going on the other side of the net and making those adjustments.
Number 3, number 1, part 2 coming your way. Holly Rowe with us. We will hear from her when we come back to Austin. Has more.
Right, they've had to make a last-minute adjustment, but they had known that Morgan would be out for a little while, and so that was allowing Nalani Yosefa to be able to prepare for the moment that she had last night. Morgan is doing well, I am told, and she is home isolating as she gets through this COVID-19. But in her place last night, Nalani did a great job, 15 digs. Jarrett Elliott said you should have seen her passing percentage. She's super talented. We're so lucky we have her trying to get through this COVID-19 diagnosis with Morgan.
Thank you so much, Holly. Something we will keep our eye on tonight as we look at the impact players. And Salima, Yosia is one for you.
Well, you know, she's one for me because I think she played so well last night. Forget the fact that she's a freshman and just putting on this black jersey. I think she's going to have a huge impact tonight. And for Baylor, it's Lauren Harrison. She was the 2nd leading attacker for Baylor last night, and I'm expecting nothing less. She's going to come out and get after, and they're going to need her to win this match.
Bears Longhorns, part 2 of this budding rivalry in the Big 12 set to go. Teams switching benches from last night. Texas in their burnt orange tops, Baylor in the gray. We play best 3 out of 5. First to 25, win by 2. Coaches' challenges in play. That was huge last night. Texas 2 for 2 on their challenges. If we go to a 5th set, it is to 15. That's where Texas closed things out. Is Jenna Gabriel, the junior setter from Honolulu, Hawaii, serving for Texas. And that the reigning National Player of the Year, Big 12 Player of the Year, Yassiana Presley. She had 29 kills last night, hit 308, was dynamite throughout the whole match. The senior from Cypress, Texas. And Salima, tough to say, Baylor, can they get more from her? But we showed the numbers. It was really the progression from the first 2 sets to sets 3, 4, and 5. Heard from her with Holly. What adjustments do you expect to see from the reigning National Player of the Year?
Well, I think she's going to probably come out the same and do what she does. You know, it's hard to stop a player like Presley, and she's going to just have to be smarter with some swings when she's out of system and think about where she's going with the ball when she's gotten a million different sets. So that's the key for her tonight.
That getting through, Gabriel trying to keep it alive. We showed you the difference for Texas blocking-wise last night as well as the match progressed. The first 2 sets, really the block non-existent against Presley. but they were able to find some more defense as Van Slate will serve for Baylor. And that is an ace. Baylor led by head coach Ryan McGuire, 6th season at the helm. 2019 AVCA D1 National Coach of the Year, Big 12 Coach of the Year. And Salima, I loved what he told us earlier this week. He said, the second match in this back-to-back format is when you find out who the better team is. Why?
Well, there's so much because you learn a lot, and you learn, can you adjust? And can you make changes in one night in this match? And I think that's what they're looking at. They're looking at the stats, they're looking at the team and their own staff, right? What are we doing? What are we going to make that's different in those changes?
Texas, led by Jarrett Elliott, was the AVCA Coach of the Year in 2012, the year that he guided Texas to a national championship. As the Longhorns go out to Molly Phillips, that dug up Presley. Off the Texas block and out of bounds. So early success for Presley, much as we saw last night. And a start much as we saw last night for Baylor. 3 kills for Presley, 4 swings, 750. Van Slate to serve again. It's Salima, we talked earlier about the setting position, and Holly, understand you have more on Hannah Sedgwick, the setter for Baylor.
Well, Hannah Sedgwick has been out for most of the season with a stress reaction, stress fracture situation in her leg. But we're going to see more and more of her as this season winds down. She has such a super connection with Yassiana Presley, and we're already seeing that early. She's a bigger block in the front row, and although Callie Williams has done a good job as a replacement, we're going to see more Hannah tonight.
Yeah, she made her season debut on October 29th, missing the first 10 matches. Formerly Hannah Locken got married to Baylor kicker Jay Sedgwick on May 25th. But it's between her, number 14, and number 1, Callie Williams, the junior transfer from Tennessee, that will handle the setting duties for Baylor. As Nalani Yosia serving for Texas, the freshman from Torrance, California. Big swing from Presley. Love what she said in the interview with Holly. She's getting up there in volleyball years? Come on.
Sometimes it feels like it. I know when your body's beat up. I get what she's saying. She's not, though.
She talked about those 2 knee surgeries, the hamstring as well. Coach McGuire saying about 90% where she's at, but physically looked amazing last night. We were in a replay and we were trying to look at the review, but it was her flying through the air that caught the eye.
We couldn't even look at the review.
Loses one on the serve, gives the ball back to Texas, and Sydney Peterson, the junior from Iowa, will serve. She had that key service ace in set number 3. Part of that pressure Texas putting on Baylor from the service line. Saw it there. Over though, Texas out of sorts, and an easy redirect on the Baylor side. Kara McGee, the sophomore middle blocker from San Antonio, Texas.
This play, ball was a little bit too high and unable to control, of course, by Gabriel at the net. And McGee doing a nice job cleaning up.
That was McGee initially with the touch. It was Sedgwick that cleaned it up. Jenna Gabriel, you talked about her athleticism on a huge play that got it to 24 in set number 3, winning that joust there.
Well, I just think her timing is so good. She loves jousts. She gets up in the net. She knows exactly what she wants to do. Look at her go strong with both hands over the net, keeping her awareness and not netting.
Gabriel 1 kill last night, but that 1 kill couldn't have come at a more pivotal time as Eggleston sends that long. Dished out 51 assisted Jenna Gabriel. Texas last night hit 294 as a team, Baylor 233. Longhorns the best hitting team efficiency-wise in the country, 359 coming into this matchup, but Baylor holds their opponents to 131. That's tops in the Big 12, 5th in the country as Williams serves. We talked timing just a little off there with O'Neal.
Timing was off. The set was a little bit slow and high because you're going to see O'Neal's going to take off, right? It's a trust thing and it's a fast set. that you have to really find it and trust. The setter has to trust she's going to be there.
Gabriel setting for Skylar Fields, the sophomore from Missouri City, Texas.
And Fields started off hot last night, and I'm expecting the same thing tonight with her, getting her feet to the ball on this out-of-system set. I mean, that's what she needs to do, is be able to get there and be able to score.
Yeah, apologies to Skylar Fields. We do a whole 30-minute pregame show than the Open. This is the first time we've mentioned her. She was second on the team with 14 kills last night. Has always provided great this season balance to Logan Eggleston on the attack, as we see Eggleston from the back row.
And they want to use her out of the back row if they can, especially when they're in system and it's not just an out-of-system play. This is part of the offense. So you'll see Butler go behind to pull the left side blocker to leave Eggleston 1-on-1 in the back row.
Asia O'Neal, redshirt sophomore from Southlake, Texas. The block for the Longhorns, Breon Butler. We talked about her in the pregame show and what she does defensively. Part of the block there.
And look at this move. She reads it so well when that ball's passed over the net, but gets her hands there. That's what I love about her. She gets her hands and presses back into the court.
Texas first in the Big 12, fifth in the NCAA, averaging 3 blocks per set. They only had 5, if I remember correctly, through the first 2 sets last night. Something to keep an eye on is already 2 for the Texas defense. That ball right above the tape, won by Baylor.
So I like what I'm seeing with Baylor. They've already set the middle early, set in front. They ran McGee behind on his side, so they're definitely trying some new things to stress the Texas block a little bit.
We talk about trying new things as well. Number 20, the graduate transfer from UCF, Lachey Harper, in for Baylor. Something that you said you expected to see. We have more from Holly on the Baylor middles.
Well, that's right. I spoke with Coach Ryan McGuire before the match about what their key adjustments were from last night, and he said the number one thing that they had to do was defend the Texas slide, that they got too much on that. Asia really hurt them, Asia O'Neal. But the thing they also have to do is get more out of their middles. We have to get our middles involved early, and that helps our players on the pins have a little more freedom.
So Salima, maybe part of the reason why they go with Harper early on here?
For sure. I mean, Harper's in there. She's fast, and she can get on the ball quick and is available. I think that's something that they're going to be looking to use tonight.
So that's number 20 in gray to keep your eye on. She's previously named the Defensive Player of the Week in the Big 12, so fully capable as she sits down. Baylor serving. It's their libero, Chanel Bramschreiber, the junior from Plano, Texas.
And a smart serve. You're going to see them whenever Fields is in the passing pattern. Not that she can't pass, but if they're looking at the stats and looking at where they want to go with the ball, certainly not to Yosia, but that half of the court with Fields and Eggleston.
Trying to go back that way, but just a little too wide and out of bounds. Baylor had just 1 service ace last night, 9 service errors. Texas had 8 aces, but they had 14 errors from the service line. That hampered them in the opening set. That ball trying to bring it back did Williams, but whistle blown. Texas will get the point. Skylar Fields to serve. That's something we talked about last night in Texas, missing Morgan O'Brien, second on the team in aces, big for them service-wise, but you really like what you saw from Fields serving last night.
I love what I saw from Fields. I mean, she was confident from the end line, hitting some tough serves and getting them out of system, a couple of aces. I mean, I think she does a really nice job. She just missed that one that got away from her a little bit.
Emily Van Slate. Free ball coming for Baylor. Trying it out for Presley. Finds that back corner. 5th kill of the night for the Player of the Year.
Again, just look how fast this set is to the pin. That ball is so quick, and I mean, Butler's almost there, but She gets on that ball so fast, it's hard to defend, especially when you hit that back third of the court.
Within this season, two-time Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. 17 times she's earned that career weekly award, tied for the most in Big 12 history. Back set for Phillips. Baylor block is there. So good back and forth action. Texas victorious last night, but number 3 Baylor, can they get their first win in Austin?
So much. They dropped the first match of the year, then came back and won that second match. And every single time they've played, even if they played a tight match in the first night, they've been better. And he gives credit to his staff. He talked a lot about them and their prep and getting their team ready, but his team also being able to make those adjustments.
Yeah, we've heard from multiple head coaches this season in this Big 12 format, and they've said, hey, this is where we really shine as coaches. Personnel shouldn't change from night 1 to night 2. It's just our approach and what we do. Gabriel there for Texas. Eggleston trying to go over the block. Point stays alive. Trying to go to the dump was Sedgwick, but into the net.
I mean, it's the right play at the right time. You know, they have to move it around. This is an incredible effort on Texas saving that ball. Sedgwick goes up. She's just a little bit too far from the net. Sometimes those angles just aren't there. You think they exist, and then they don't when you're that far off the net.
Yeah, it looked like she had the space behind Texas's front line, but Yosia serving just a little bit too much. Had a great look at the line there, but just too far. Texas, they love her big, powerful jump serve. They also love what she brings, putting on that Libero jersey. Coach Elliott talking about the true freshman, saying fully capable, obviously missing Morgan O'Brien, but they have trust in that new face for this team. Both of these squads trying to defend their conference titles.
That's right. It's weird saying they're both trying to defend the same title. They both won last year.
15-1 last year. Both teams going in conference play. Texas won 3-0 here in Austin. It went 5 sets in Waco. It was the first win for Baylor over Texas since 2001. Mentioned 45 times prior to tonight they've come into Austin, and they have not won.
And here's that shot that Eggleston missed a couple of times last night. You see her cut that ball across her body. She caught the line tonight.
16-15 opening frame. And really, Salima, take away that 4th set last night. It's been pretty evenly matched.
It really has been. And I like what Texas is doing here, serving Harrison, trying to serve her short, get her out of the play. Now they're just going to mix it up, serving long and short.
Going at Graham Schreiber, the libero for Baylor. Some exception from the Baylor sideline. Coach McGuire well off and onto the floor.
You don't see that very often, so you know that it's he called her, I think, for a double, maybe a lift on that set, and maybe it was just her body position that may have determined that a little bit more.
Serving Harrison does Peterson. Baylor getting the ball out to Presley, but Peterson there. Texas will go to their star in Eggleston. Back to Presley, who converts.
Peterson with a nice stretch, serving some tough balls and coming in and digging a hard hit ball here as well. But man, that's going back to Presley, going back to the player of the year. She knows she can get it done the second time around. Just give her another chance.
2020 preseason Big 12 player of the year. Averaged 5.41 kills per set last year as Baylor there with their block. They like Sedgwick when she's in there at 6'1".
And you know, it's not just that she's tall. She's a very good blocker. She puts her body in the right position. You look at that right hand and turns back into the court. She doesn't get tooled very often. And I think just having a big block is one thing, but having someone that can actually block balls is another. It's a difficult task. She does a really nice job at the net.
McGee with the service error. Baylor's 4th this opening set, making it 18 all. Eggleston to serve. That Point one at the net. Sedgwick once again as she sits down. Williams comes in. But Holly had referenced it for Sedgwick, such an integral piece for the team last year. She's still just really getting her legs in this young season, missing the first 10 matches, just the 4th match she's played of this year.
And it takes some time. It takes some time to just get a rhythm again and find your way. But she's doing a really nice job.
Well, you talk rhythm, Fields continuing to show that, continuing to show her arsenal as well. She goes to the power tip there.
And look how high she is above the net. Like, her arm is completely extended. I mean, she's up there on the 3rd white on the antenna. That's a high contact point and difficult to defend on the other side of the net.
Asia O'Neal to serve at 19 all. Williams going to Harrison. That's the first kill for Lauren Harrison. She was 2nd on the team in kills last night, helping to take that pressure off Presley, but in those later sets, they needed more from her.
Yeah, you know, they did. She had to take a spell for a little while, came out of the game until she came back in the 5th set, but I think she's someone that can provide those kills.
When to just give you an idea, 2nd on the team in kills right now, it's the setter in Sedgwick for Baylor. She were impressed with the Baylor defense.
Unbelievable block. So again, Texas running the slide with Butler just a little bit more, but man, Presley is so good blocking the slide. I mean, her rhythm, her timing, and the ability to press over the net.
0.67 blocks per set. Baylor, 2nd best blocking team in the Big 12 behind Texas. The Longhorns get that point. That important to make it 21-20.
You see Yassi's going, my bad, my bad. I was so excited trying to press over the net. And she caught the net.
So Texas with the side out. Jenna Gabriel to serve. Up by Yosia, Texas for Eggleston. Did not catch tips long on the swing.
Really nice dig by Yosia. Eggleston just couldn't get on it. But I like this. She hangs tight on the line, especially out of system. Sometimes players tend to drift a little bit into the court, and she just really hung in there to dig that ball.
Crucial serving error. Baylor, 5 now that they've given away. They give the ball immediately back to Texas. Riley Heinrich, we saw plenty of action last night coming in to serve. She played 5 sets. She had 2 service aces. Freshman from Georgetown, Texas. Phillips converting for the Longhorns. Beautiful dig, set and finish.
And it's tough when you've got Butler in there and you've got Presley wants to help on Butler on that one. So see how bunched in she is, and then she has to chase to the line. And Phillips with that thumb down, she likes that cut down the line.
So 22 apiece. Presley dug, Gabriel try Eggleston, who finds space. That creative arsenal of shots.
And it starts with the dig. Now a huge swing by Presley, but Yosia doing a nice job. And I love this tip. Just kind of right over the top of the block. Baylor unable to get it.
Salima, all 3 of the first sets last night were decided by 2 points. 25-23, 26-24, 25-23, and we are seeing the growth for Logan Eggleston. She talked about the end of the season for Texas last year, that 5-set defeat at the hands of Louisville. She sat down with Coach Elliott and said, hey, never again.
You know, it's tough. I've been there when you lose a match that you're not expected to lose and have a season that you're really feeling like you want to push to the end and actually have a chance to win. She was determined and said, you know, we're not going to go out like that.
Coach Elliott also saying of Eggleston, he said, I don't know if I've had a player put this string of matches together. We talked about Texas's players that have been Big 12 Players of the Year candidates. That is very high praise.
It's very high praise. She's among amazing company, that's for sure.
And when you talk Plummer, we talked with Kevin Hamley earlier, the NCAA championship going through Stanford the last 2 years. That's the aspiration for these two teams. They have the potential. Texas trying to close this opening set out. Big contribution from Heinrich as they have set point. First time didn't work, second time did. Jenna Gabriel goes back into the middle, Breon Butler. Texas closing on a 5-0 run, nearly knocked you out of your seat.
She hit so high and hard, and man, yeah, I did almost fall off my stool.
For Baylor leading the way, but Breon Butler, I love it. You've opened my eyes to the setter when they go to the same hitter 2 times in a row. Breon Butler couldn't get the first opportunity down, but she did with the second.
You know, and it's so great. I think, especially when someone's playing well and they take a huge monster swing and you know they want that set again, I'm going back to them. And it's Butler running this slide, again, expanding her game just a little bit more, and that's opening up some more things for other hitters. But she goes over the top and hits high and hard, and you're going to see her. Here comes the repeat play. A little bit higher and a little bit harder.
Baylor did outblock Texas to the tune of 4-2, but the story continuing for Baylor. Dominant for Presley, 6 kills, 14 swings. She hits .357, but it's their setter in Sedgwick that had the second most kills on the team with 2.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know, she's going to mix it up a little bit, right? If the setter is able to attack and she's able to run the middle a little bit more, again, what they're trying to do is put some stress on the Texas block and force them to think about some other things other than Presley.
They went Kara McGee's way, the middle blocker, 6 times, but no kills. Holly had talked about that earlier, the emphasis from Coach McGuire and the Baylor staff trying to get the ball into the middle. It was a tight first set, much as we saw last night across 4 out of the 5. Anything you're seeing Baylor-wise adjustments or just a couple points here and there?
You know, just the biggest thing is if they can connect in the middle, that's what they want to do. That's what they're having a little bit of trouble because they didn't do it a lot last night. But if they can get some of that going, that's going to be huge for them. And taking care of the ball, would they miss 5 serves in the opening
5 service errors, yep.
I mean, that's a 3-point ball game. So, I mean, let's clean that up a little bit and get the ball moving around a little bit more, and they'll be all right.
Texas had 3 themselves, now 4 on the board after Gabriel tried to go short. She'll go to Butler once again. Woo! That connection right there. Explosive.
Man. And again, you're going to watch all of Texas's hitters go. Presley kind of waits for Phillips, and it's just one-on-one, and there's no stopping that.
So Breon Butler, 4 kills on 8 swings last night. Was 10 for 18, had no errors, hit .556, 6 blocks as well. Whistle on the Baylor side.
Pass is a little tight, and Sedgwick tries to go up and get it and ends up being over the net as a back row player. And Heinrich doing such a nice job in her role. I'm super impressed with what she's been doing with the serve and defensively.
They come in having played 5 matches, just 5 sets to this duo of matches, but a big contribution, and wow, that is why she's the reigning player of the year.
And she passes this ball. That's where you passes a deep ball that's served at her, and then just gets on her horse, gets up quick, and unloads on that ball. I mean, that's a fast set for anybody.
The give and go.
The give and go.
Van Slate serving for Baylor. Gabriel for Eggleston, tried that cut, but Van Slate was there. Presley a little bit off the net.
Tempo was a little bit off. I mean, it was a high dig, and I think she wanted to stay a little bit more in system. Sedgwick got her a little bit more out of system, so they just got to find that connection again. With a nice dig by Van Slate there.
Nalani Yosia, third on the team in aces with 11 coming into these 2 matches behind Eggleston and O'Brien. But loses one there into the tape.
Yeah, her toss was a little bit off. I saw her skip kind of hitch a little bit. We'll see next go around if she stays down with a jump float.
Presley was one of those service errors last time she was back at the service line, but goes short there. Texas is having to send it over. Out to Harrison, sent back by the block, but kept alive. Eggleston. No tips, just long.
A little bit of some sloppy play there on both sides, but Baylor did a nice job covering.
Coach Elliott digging through his papers on the side to pull out the challenge card, and the Texas staff had a big impact on last night's match with their challenges.
They did. This is a tough one. You know, they're on the other side of the net now, so and that touch from the left side hitter is really far away from them. I don't know if Eggleston was looking to call it or if they're just like, this is a good time. Hey, let's take a chance. It's a tight set right now. It's early on, but I didn't see a touch.
Well, Salima, this looks a lot like the play last night.
They all
that we saw. It was ruled no touch initially last night, but then overturned on the Texas challenge, and that's what the ruling was here initially.
And serve. That's almost like a timeout.
That there, it doesn't look like the fingers
That's
move.
A good view right there.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at that right ring finger. It looks like there maybe.
But it looks like it's already like that.
We've broken it down about as much as we can, and the call will stand. So, per the officials and the video review, nothing to overturn it. So Texas losing their first challenge. But a long break.
Again, you're going to see Texas run a double quick in this rotation. With O'Neal going in front, or behind actually, and Phillips staying in front. So there's switch blocking here.
You see a setting for Eggleston, but blocked back. McGee defensively there for Baylor.
Well, McGee is just such a natural blocker. You know, Coach McGuire talked about that, and we saw that a lot last year. She just has a great feel at the net.
It's a Baylor team with a historic run last year. Best season in program history. 29-2, first conference championship. The overall 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. They beat Sacred Heart, USC, Purdue, and then Washington to go to the national semifinal. They lose in 4 sets to number 5 Wisconsin, but Coach of the Year for Coach McGuire, Player of the Year for Yassiana Presley. But some new faces, new places for Baylor. But Coach McGuire has come in and absolutely taken this program to new heights.
Well, it's been a phenomenal run. What he did certainly last year, everybody knows that put Baylor on the map, you know, and you hear clubs talking about it, recruits wanting to go there. I mean, really doing a nice job with this program and how he runs it. Super impressed with how they're playing, and now they're putting together some new pieces. They've got some new faces that complement the ones that were there last year, trying to put this whole team together and find some rhythm.
Williams, the transfer from Tennessee, Harrison from North Carolina, and then Harper from UCF. Small run by Baylor, 4-0, but Texas back into the lead at 7-6. Peterson continuing to serve tough.
She's going to keep going at Harrison, I would imagine, on that half of the court.
Saw the signal in from associate head coach Eric Sullivan, but goes into the tape.
So what you're going to see tonight is, you know, again, they have the numbers. They have the numbers over the course of the season, who passes well, in what position on the court, who doesn't, how they hit off of those passes. I mean, all these numbers are super important, and it helps them defensively as well, both teams.
Asia O'Neal on the slide on the kill. Those numbers, the analytics, just like when you played, right?
Just like when we played. We just rolled out the balls and went really hard.
It was all the eye test back then, and you talk about the eye test. This works for Texas.
Man, and that's what O'Neal did last night, and that's what Coach McGuire said. They need to slow that down because she killed them last night on the slide.
I loved what Coach Jared Elliott said. He was looking at Baylor, and he was analyzing their defense, how they were different from last year to this year. He said, this is what I'm seeing with my eyes, but I could be completely wrong.
Right. It's funny how that works. It's amazing what stats can do or your eyes can do.
So this budding rivalry, Texas historically has dominated 85-3, 45-0 in Austin. But two great matches last season, a great match last night. So far, on pace to have another good one here this evening. Both teams struggling at the service line. 6 errors for Baylor, 7 for Texas.
So here's Baylor in that rotation 1 again, with Van Slate staying in the front row, in there for passing purposes. That's a tough rotation. You don't want to miss a serve in a rotation where they're struggling.
Yeah, that was something you talked about rotation-wise. Texas with opportunities there in terms of the size, with Van Slate up front at 5'7". But given back immediately off the air from Asia O'Neal. Kamba Bowden, the freshman from El Paso, Texas, serving for Baylor. It's going just back and forth across the side of the net.
They always say that sometimes missing a serve can be contagious, but usually not across the net. So
wow. Back to Texas, Gabriel to serve. We'll see if we get one in. There we go. Baylor goes out to the right. Vandermark, first time talking about Marika Vandermark, the junior from the Netherlands. Preseason All Big 12. She's a big piece, returning for Baylor, 2.3 kills per set. Last night, 7 kills, 18 swings. Into the middle, and that's Harper.
And that's the pass by Bramschreiber, who's doing a nice job holding it down. I know she wants them to serve her more. She's trying to squeeze people as much as she can so she can pass the ball. But that's what Baylor needs so they can run their offense. If they can get the middles going, just like Holly said when she talked to Coach McGuire, it's going to be huge for them.
Texas trying to go into the middle there, but Butler just wide on her swing. Seeing the hitting percentages go south for both teams. 128 now for Texas, .098 for the Baylor Bears. Not as much heat for Butler there, but success.
It's a smart play. Hitting just a little roll shot over the top of the block, and I know both teams are hoping they can find just a little bit more of a rhythm, get something going on either side of the net.
2.3 kills per set, the average for Butler coming into this week. Vandermark through the Texas block. Longhorns get their chance. Eggleston up high, caught by Bowden, but keeps it alive. But not over. Texas will get the point.
It's a good hustle. Nice defensive effort by Baylor. So this ball just hits Bowden, kind of gets in the way of it. Nice redirection there by their setter. Vandermark unable to get the ball over the net.
Going at Presley in the serve receive. Eggleston off the block, can't stay up. So Texas with a 3-point advantage at 14-11.
Some better swings out of Eggleston. You know, some of those swings earlier on, some tight sets, not a lot of room at the net to really get through the block, which now she's doing a nice job of hitting high and skipping high off the hands.
The tip from Eggleston sent back by the Baylor block. So the Bears now with 7 on the match.
Again, Texas scrambling around, out of system. Eggleston trying to tool this ball off the block, but Baylor doing a nice job of holding tight and steady and not getting tooled.
The Bears out blocking Texas. Longhorns cannot find the passing, their system to get the swings. See a little bit of sloppiness on both sides of the net here in set number 2, serving wise, passing wise. Van Slate ducks it over the tape. Presley long on the swing, and that'll take us to the break here in set number 2. Texas up 1-0. 5 airs on 15 swings for Texas. Not much better, .067, 6 kills, 5 airs on 15 total attacks. What are you seeing for both sides that they can't get clean looks, good swings?
And that's exactly what I'm saying. It's just a lot of average touches on the ball. You know, we always say in volleyball, you want to better the ball. If it's a bad pass, if you're a setter, you want to make the set better. If you're a hitter, you want to make that last play even better. And we're not seeing a ton of that on either side right now. So both teams know they can play at a higher level. They can clean up their touches, give their hitters better opportunities to swing and score and keep the ball in play.
That was McGee. Looked like on the slide.
That's it.
And you were talking, Baylor doesn't really run that too much.
They didn't run it at all last night. They hadn't been running it before. So I think, you know, McGee can run it. And this is what I meant. I know Coach McGuire wanted to add a couple wrinkles on night 2. And that's one they added in there for sure.
Well, to the point that we came out of break talking about, you look on the Texas side, just the sequence there, not too clean with the passing and the looks that they got. But Baylor on their side, the last 2 points that they've got, much cleaner in their offense. Presley with the short serve. Eggleston diving, but Texas still trying to find that good look. Eggleston well off the net, long past the line.
Presley doing a nice job with this deep serve. We talked about this last night, how far back she goes when she serves. And that deep ball is hard to track. It floats a lot and it can drop. So sometimes you're gonna see her miss a little bit on it, but it really has a lot of movement. It's difficult.
So a timeout for Texas, and you talk timeouts over the summer into the spring. All of these players, coaches away from one another. And Holly, you got some more on Baylor head coach Brian McGuire and how he spent his time during quarantine.
That's right. Well, he is trying to build something special at Baylor, and during the stay-home period, he ended up building a lot of special things for his family. Look at this glass door wall that he put out in their garden. He was busy doing a lot of wood projects, a train garden where he said, my father inspired me. He always wanted to build one with these old antique trains, so they built a little garden. Look at this very nice beach deck. They also did a nice children's tree house. Look at the screen deck. I feel like I want to hire him if he has a little spare time. I've got some projects at my house he can do. He said, you know, it really helped me. He said, I wish I had time to do it more during the season, but I love that he's getting out, getting a little dirty, and building something special, quite literally, at Baylor.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a mini resort.
He does, and Holly, I got dibs. I already talked to him about it. I'm first.
We had asked him what he learned about himself in putting this season together, how this season came together, and he was really quite frank. He said, I did not come into this season as sharp as I should have been. They lost their first match of the year to Kansas, which was very surprising. You look at the Big 12 standings of where Kansas is at now. But it was rusty coaching, he said, on his behalf.
Well, I think it's huge to take ownership. You know, there's not enough of that going on right now, and it's for him to say, hey, look, we missed the whole spring. It was weird for everybody. It was hard to figure out what to do. We had no rhythm. We had no routines. And he wished he had been just a little bit sharper, and his mind is a little bit better from the start. But he said, I'm back, and I'm ready. I'm ready for the season, and we're all coming along now.
Had a great conversation with him as well about fostering the conversation for social justice, the voices for them. He cited Yassiana and Callie as well, but he talked about, hey, being apart from one another, we are built for community, and he had really focused on love, being available, and getting back together, how good that felt for his team.
There's always so many good messages from Coach McGuire, and I love hearing him talk about the team and the unity and all of that stuff. And it was big for them getting back together, like you said.
Sydney Peterson serving for Texas as we're knotted up at 16 apiece. And Yassiana Presley, we aired a piece last night that talked about her evolution and staying at Baylor. As we look at the swing, I'll let you break it down.
I mean, it's so fast. This is what we call, I mean, that's close to a bic, and that's what you'll hear maybe in the men's game or the higher levels internationally. That is a back row attack that's quick, a super fast ball that's almost as speed as a middle set. That's what you see, they want to run.
Quick to Asia O'Neal, but just to finish that off, you saw the success under Coach McGuire. He doesn't have that success without Yassiana Presley, but the point that I really took away from that, he said their relationship has been fleshed out in front of the team, and that's been great for their group.
Yeah, and it's always nice to have that kind of relationship where you can banter back and forth, you can kind of butt heads a little bit, but you know that you care about one another and you're all in it for the right reasons.
Said, how do things look when we have disagreements? Said they've had plenty of those, but obviously the results on the floor. Squeeze one through that Texas block does Harrison.
She always does that. She's really good at that. That's a hard thing to do. She gets on that ball quick before the blockers are able to completely press over the net.
Harrison, the transfer from North Carolina. Coach McGuire saying she came to Baylor to play in matches like this. Top 5, 3 versus 1 is Texas there with the block. Gabriel and Asia O'Neal.
Man, there's that Texas block again doing what it does. They know where the ball's gonna go. Again, you've got Vane Slate in the front row. That last play, she was blocking middle, and you saw Harper blocking on the right. So they're gonna move some things around to kind of put their block in the right position, and Texas is very aware of where the ball's going.
Saw the numbers there. Baylor 7 blocks, Texas with 4. That was something that picked up for Texas as the match proceeded last night. That block going out of bounds, though.
And Lauren Harrison doing a nice job tooling off the edge of the block there on a high ball that's out of system, which is tough against a big block.
So Salima, all the sets we've seen across these 2 nights, they've been tight like this. It's go time. At 19-18, Baylor serving. Trying to tie this up at 1 apiece. Texas trying to take a 2-0 lead. Gabriel into the middle. Where does she go here? Back row for Eggleston. Fields getting a good rip and tool in the block. Good long sequence.
Well, that's some good volleyball. Some nice defensive plays on both sides of the net, but Fields hitting this ball high off the top of the block. See, Cedric just can't get there in time.
Skylar Fields now 5 kills. Texas serving 19 all. And Jenna Gabriel going at Bram Schreiber. Presley sent back by the block. Texas will get the point. Prior to that swing, Presley had started out 5 kills on 9 swings, and now including that, she's 3 for 14.
So what you'll see with this call here, you'll see Bram Schreiber playing this ball and setting in front of the 10-foot line, and she's telling her, don't jump, because she can't set that ball. The libero cannot set the ball with her hand and have the player jump and go for a swing. I kill it.
Well, I just talked about it, the numbers for Presley, the difference. Texas finding an answer, a way to shut down the reigning player of the year. The defense there, Phillips and Butler.
Well, and that's it. That's the big block. That ball's way off the net for Baylor.
Their matches here at the Frank Irwin Center, first time since 1997 when they played 3 matches. Back in '94, the Irwin Center hosted the NCAA semifinals and the final match. But this the temporary home for Texas. To allow for social distancing, fans in the stands, us being here as well. It's Baylor getting a necessary point coming out of their timeout.
That's Bowden handling the ball again, doing a nice job passing-wise and defensively.
Texas out of system there. It was Gabriel that had to bring the ball up, and Yosia puts it over the net.
You know, and Texas having some troubles here with some of these out-of-system sets. A lot of them are tight. You know, a couple of them have been over and just not giving them a lot of space to swing.
Ramschreiber with a service error cost Baylor in the first set. We talked about it early last night. Texas missing their starting libero and Morgan O'Brien, but the miscommunications that we saw earlier for Texas in the match last night, they seem to have fleshed that out, but Texas still getting used to players in different roles than what they've had all season. One of those players, Riley Heinrich, who's come in, been good with her serve. She had 2 aces last night, but long on that. We'll give the ball back at 22 apiece. Down the line, Eggleston, a good serve receive, and set there, Texas in system.
She was there ready. I mean, she's like mad at herself going, oh, I was right in position, but a healthy swing and a beautiful set by Gabriel, actually sliding on her knees, putting that ball in the money.
8 kills for Eggleston, double-double last night. Now that was a pretty good sequence on both sides. Texas had to give the free ball over and Presley able to convert. Jared Elliott up off the bench. Plenty of protest there. What'd you see?
I didn't see much, so I'm not sure what he's calling. Maybe a double somewhere along the line.
It's a big point for Baylor, 23 apiece. Short serve. Dealt with by Texas, and the kill from Asia O'Neal.
Tell you what, O'Neal's having a field day, and now it's a cross court. So what they've done is really put Harrison all the way out a little bit further on the pin, and O'Neal is able to have a clean swing back into the court, cross court.
Substitution for Texas. Gabriel sitting down. Ashley Shook coming in, the 6'1" senior setter. So into that front line set point for Texas. Up by Texas, but just momentarily. Play extra points once again.
Sedgwick doing a nice job at the net. Again, just super wear. Unbelievable get by Yosia. A little too tight. Eggleston with not a lot of room to go.
Texas 2 substitutions. Gabriel back in, Fields as well. On the Baylor side, Bree Coleman coming in. You see number 19 with the ball. Junior, a transfer as well to serve. Eggleston off the block. Set point coming for Texas. Tough on the serve for Van Slade. Opportunity for the Longhorns to end it. O'Neal on the slide. That seems their go-to to close out sets.
Hey, if it works, it ain't broke.
Pop's looking on, happy as he sees his daughter end set number 2, 26-24. Texas up 2-0 at home. Have seen in this one Tyler Denning, Salima Rockwell. We knew it would be good. It's been tight in the first and second. We have star power in the reigning player of the year, Yatsiana Presley, and Logan Eggleston, player of the year candidate this year, but both players with a little bit of struggles tonight.
Well, you know, there's so much going on here, and it's not just their struggles. It's kind of a team overall touch ball control struggle, and I think both sides are trying to serve tough, getting each other out of system. You know, Presley, of course, is going to get hers when she's in rhythm. She's as good as anybody in the country. And on the other side of the net, it's the same thing with Eggleston. Right now, I think both sides are going to have to work on doing a better job of controlling the ball, taking care of the touches whenever they have the opportunity to give them opportunities to score.
And those struggles relative to both of these players and their talent, but Presley with 10 kills, she's hitting 161, had a great hitting night last night, and Eggleston 9 kills, she's hitting .033.
Yeah, and that's tough. You never want to have those numbers, and of course she's doing the best she can, trying to find her rhythm, especially when there's not a ton of rhythm with the setting or with the team defensively, and that's what they have to both clean up going into the next set.
So those the numbers for both. Holly's been on the sidelines all night. What do you got for us on these two phenomenal players?
Well, guys, it's such an unusual season, and we're seeing them not be at their best right now, which typically this would be the time of year that teams are starting to really peak, moving into the national championship run that would culminate in December. But this year, because of COVID, a lot of conferences are not playing. A lot of teams will play in the spring. So it almost seems like a free season right now so that both teams can kind of work on their flaws, work on getting better on individual things, but then they will regroup back in January, get back in shape, get back in organization, and play for a national championship hopefully in April. So a very unusual season, but I know we're seeing some mistakes. I just feel like it's kind of a work in progress still for both teams at this point of the season.
And Holly, we all amongst our crew talked about that earlier this year, and Salima, we've seen the intricacies across each conference. This, what is going on? The season will continue on in January the 22nd, but the tournament selection date, you see April 4th of 2021, a reduced bracket, and that very important, going down to 48 teams. And you take that to this match and what's at stake. Obviously bragging rights and trying to win the Big 12, but those 32 automatic qualifiers, there's only 16 at-large teams. And obviously both these teams probably make the tournament with their resume, but that field's trimmed down, and what it can look like come springtime is a much harder road to a championship.
Well, that's exactly it. It's a more difficult road. When you have less teams, you're going to have a stronger group overall of teams playing, especially in that first and second round. So you never know who you're going to get matched up with. So getting that automatic qualifier and being in a position is totally different. So you want to be in a high position, a high seed going in. But it's going to be interesting to see what the committee does, how this all flushes out with the Big 12 being done, and then who they're going to play in the spring. And there's so much going on. It's going to be interesting.
Well, Holly, you had probably looked at that last line, championship site to be determined later. You talked about it, and these coaches have all talked about it. Hey, how do we schedule? What do we do? We talked to Stanford head coach Kevin Hamley earlier tonight, asked him about what he's been doing in the fall. He said, I don't even have my players here. It's been so interesting. And we continue to watch as it evolves. The Big 12 will close out both of these teams with 2 sets of matches. Well, Texas with West Virginia and TCU. For Baylor, 1 set against Kansas State to close out their fall seasons. And then what the spring will look like, we will find out.
We will.
What it looks like so far here, Texas, 2 tight sets, 25-22 the first, 26-24 the second. Longhorns closing it out with an Asia O'Neal slide kill. Salima, take me through the conversations for Baylor. They've been just right there in nearly every single set across these 2 nights, but they haven't been able to get the ones when they needed them. What do you say to your team when that's happening?
Well, you know, you just want them to keep their composure and stay calm and go back to what they do well. You know, hey, we don't have to do anything crazy. Let's be smart with our serves and not miss them back to back to back. Control the ball passing. Pass the ball high in the middle of the court. Sedgwick can still run a fast offense if that's where the ball is located. So those are the conversations. Hey, we don't have to be perfect, but let's be really, really good and solid here, and we're going to have an opportunity.
Heinrich serving for Texas. Presley trying to find that groove attack-wise that we have seen really the last 2 years from her. serve. Sending Texas out of sorts momentarily. Longhorns with a chance here. Phillips sent back. Yosia there to bring it up. Eggleston right at Presley with the dig. Texas with the block, Eggleston and Butler.
It was Delani Yosia that really kept this whole thing going with a series of unbelievable defensive plays.
Coach Elliott had talked about Yosia, said the numbers very similar with O'Brien from the matches, from the practice gym, but getting her up to speed. But also, the one aspect we don't talk about as much, just getting to know the team a little bit better. Said she was a little shy coming in at first, especially with the limited gym time going back through the spring, but they love the talent that they have with her, and when they anticipate getting O'Brien back, especially come springtime, boy, they have a good 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it's going to be really nice, and she's done a fantastic job, and she's got an amazing future. And, you know, I tell you, she's helped the defense so much for Texas already this season. And she and, of course, Peterson, who's running in the game right now, I mean, just really elevated their whole game.
Let's go down to Holly, who has more on Texas's freshman libero.
Well, Coach Jarrett said he texted her after the match last night to tell her what a nice job she did and how glad he was to have her. And she said, this is just so surreal. You know, she's only been here a little while. She's dreamed of playing here, and just to be out here contributing in such a big way in such an important match. I just thought that was so cute. She was so honest about, like, wow, this is like a dream.
Well, we told the story earlier this season. That jump serve was really the first thing they talked to us about in what she can add to the team, but was struggling early on and said, hey, just go back to Redondo Beach, put your mind there, and put the ball in. And we've seen her and what she can do with that jump serve. For the true freshman, 2019 Under Armour ABCA All-American. But you talk about that combination, not only with O'Brien, but Sydney Peterson, who had worn that libero jersey last year for Texas, and it's been huge for their defense and to get the ball to their dynamic hitters. The dynamic swing right there, number 4. We saw KJ Johnson come in, the sophomore from Pearland, Texas, last year, trying to help shoulder that burden attack-wise for Baylor.
So they've got her in a, last night she played for Harrison, so now in a different position. You can see she's talking to her assistant coach right now. Where's she going blocking wise? And then what area of the court is she going to take?
Came in for 1 set, 4 swings, 1 kill did Johnson. Harper, we've said her name a couple times in the middle when Baylor goes to their offense.
And doing a nice job, not trying to just bounce balls right into the block. Smart, tipping the ball, throwing it off the edges of the block.
And overall for Baylor, in our conversation with Coach McGuire, he said, look, we're just starting to turn the corner. Holly had made the point about a normal season where teams would usually be at, but this season far from normal, trying to develop identity. We talked about the setting position as well and getting Sedgwick back, but Baylor, one of those teams you think will look probably very different come springtime and the matches there, and then tournament time as they get more time to develop in their gym.
Oh, absolutely. And that was a big point for him, and especially bringing all those transfers in, some new players that are on the court together. For a team perhaps like Texas who's been playing together, it's a little bit different. You know, you'd never want to miss a spring, but for those integrating different players, it's a lot more challenging.
Baylor on a 4-0.
It is going to be in Omaha, Nebraska. They were originally scheduled to host this year, so they are keeping it at that site, and it will actually be April 22nd and 24th, so that's a slight adjustment to our graphic, but now I know what I'm doing with my life, April 22nd and 24th. Cannot wait. Omaha is one of the best hosts and sites ever. I love going there. They love their volleyball.
Well, and a big shout out to everybody at the NCAA level. They are going to have their hands full come springtime, organizing a lot of championships that have been ported over from the fall to the spring. Also, for us TV folk, it's going to be a busy spring on top of all the other sports that will be going on. But hey, we're excited for it.
That's right.
National championship aspirations. You saw Texas hanging a banner in 2012. That's what these two teams have. It's more than just winning the Big 12, both of which did last year. But the importance of these matches, trying to determine that automatic qualifying bid for the NCAA championship. Baylor much more efficient this set than what we saw last, 571 hitting-wise.
Yeah, it's nice to see both teams are elevating here now. Passing the ball well, handling the ball. Setters are getting good rhythm, good reads on all of their hitters.
Looked like Texas came out with great momentum, but Baylor finding it on their side, maybe part of the substitution with KJ Johnson, a rocket swing.
But I like that arm.
Yeah,
she is fast. She gets on that ball quick. That's a nice substitution. She's giving them some energy, laughing it up on the bench.
Big smile for the sophomore from Pearland, Texas. Came in having played in 12 matches. Middle one-on-one, Breon Butler wins the matchup against McGee.
And that's discipline. She was just hanging out, waiting for that ball. And that's the beauty of Butler. She can wait and then still chase on the pins. So you see her, she fronts that three, gets right in front of McGee there and presses for the block.
We talked adjustments night to night, but within match, just like we saw last night, Texas, those blocking numbers continuing to go up. I love it when they make me look like I know what I'm talking about. Texas with the big block.
And it was such a big block. Like, they're already released out to the outside. You see her finish, and she's just like, yeah, I did that. Oh.
Is that just a big, a natural evolution through the match that your blockers get a better feel for the hitters and the block numbers go up? Or do you see Texas doing something specifically that's leading to more success?
Well, generally speaking, you can find that rhythm. You know, you have a scouting report, you say this is what they do in this rotation, and it takes the blockers a little bit to kind of get used to that, to trust it, right? I'm just gonna go here, I'm gonna go there. And once they see it over and over again, they get more comfortable in doing it. So I think it's a combination of the two, just a little bit.
Well, Butler in the zone, a season-high 7 blocks, but Baylor's block has been impressive as well. Mentioned these two teams, the top blocking teams in the conference.
Yeah, but you'll see Harrison staying outside of Phillips. Like, she likes to turn that ball down the line. Now they're not giving her as much line as they did earlier, blocking the ball.
Baylor has struggled. 12 free points they have given away at the service line. And in a first set that was decided by 3, a second set decided by 2. Those make a big difference. Texas themselves, 10 service errors. Free ball coming the way of the Bears. Into the middle. Baylor thought tips. Ball was long. But how about the defense, the dig on the Texas side?
And this is what both teams have been doing really well, is defense, but it looks like we got a challenge here.
So the first challenge we have seen for Baylor.
This is the dig we were talking about with Heinrich in there, doing some nice things, you know, serving tough and making some big plays.
So in here where the challenge is coming, was there a touch? Looking at Logan Eggleston in burnt orange there, the right hand. I don't know.
That's a maybe from this angle. How's that?
Way to be committal.
I'm so good at this.
Ooh, that looks like a good look. Does that right index finger move back? I think so.
I think so too.
So the call on the floor was that it did not. So Texas got this point. The ball called long, no touch. Holly, what you got for us?
I actually knew that they were going to stop this before you did, because when Asia O'Neal turned and walked back from the net, her eyes got big like, I think we just got away with one right there. So she might have tipped it off just a little bit, only for me at where I'm sitting. I saw it
You
coming.
have a great vantage point right there behind
I love that.
the Texas
Her
side.
face was too expressive.
Oh, I got you. But the question is, will they see it? I mean, that's the thing. It's difficult to see, and they're going over there trying to rewind and go back and forth to see if they can see it themselves.
Yeah. And they can't hear us. When they put that headset on, that's just communication to get
Correct.
the look. They can't hear what we're
There
talking
it is.
about. And there, you got it.
Look at you, Holly.
Holly, we'll
With
talk
the
that
eyes.
up for you.
Reading the eyes.
Something unique this season as well. Teams not switching sides.
Yeah.
So typically switching between sets, but with social distancing, the COVID protocols, manning one bench throughout the entirety of the match. They do switch sides from night to night. But the successful challenge for Baylor coming out of that. We talked about Phillips taking away that line. Gets the line there.
She did. She had a little more room. Maybe looked like that was pretty high and tight, a little bit over the top of Harrison. And of course, when you have a middle serving and she's in that position, you want to attack her in the back row as much as possible. Presumably not one of the better defensive players.
Sophomore middle blocker in Molly Phillips as Texas gets a service ace. Boy, Peterson.
Let's talk about Peterson. I'm telling you, man.
You know, Coach Elliott and the staff have been high in their praise. Said she accepted her role in transitioning from, hey, you're the full-time libero, to now where she's at as a DS. But there's plenty of work out there for her and contributions that she is giving to this team.
She does so much. I mean, that serve, you know, she had a couple of huge plays last night. She always does. Every set of every match, she serves them either out of system, gets an ace, but really, she's still playing phenomenal defense, covering. You see her flying in for coverage.
11 digs last night, 3 service aces for Peterson. There's an error coming back, but Texas, when you look at this team, we've had conversations across the course of the season and what they offer as a complete package. You had said it, maybe the most complete group you have seen for the Burnt Orange.
I tell you what, in a long time, between the hitters and the defensive players they have, you know, you always talk about Texas and how they can attack and block. I mean, that's a given, right? But man, now they're playing defense and keeping the ball alive.
Yeah, that national championship group.
Yeah, they're all right.
You may get some text from them, huh?
It's fine. I coach them.
You're part of that
They're really
squad.
good. They're really good. Come on.
Absolutely, and I'm sure that they would be happy to see another banner hanging next to that
For
2012
sure.
national championship. But that is a conversation for this Texas group, and now we know where it could potentially happen for either Texas, Baylor, but you got to get through Stanford. Back-to-back national champs. What to look for, but still some season left. Still obviously plenty of match left here. Texas now into the lead at 15-14. Baylor, though, needing this set. Over from Texas, but they will get the point.
Nice save by Fields there. Ball that was passed, set too tight on top of the net. An overpass, really, that Harrison tried to hit, and Fields saved.
6-1 run for Texas, and Coach McGuire. Baylor sensing that momentum, but needing this set, Baylor, to stay alive. Asia O'Neal, she's been huge in her contributions. We heard last night
and how much better she is now, and how she said she can breathe. She has her lungs, right? Her oxygen is better. She recovers faster, and it's just amazing what heart surgery now, of course, can do, and making her a better player and be able to play at a higher level.
You saw when she was going to the water bottle, that 7 tattooed on her left wrist, wearing number 7. She had talked about the importance that a family number. Saw her dad, Jermaine, working the NBA with that number 7, but such a phenomenal story. But the contribution she's giving, huge for this Texas team. And Holly put it great, an X factor for Texas. She unlocks so much of what Texas can do this season, and Coach Elliott saying what they can potentially do. She's just scratching the surface.
Yeah, it's pretty scary how good she is now and how many more years she has left, and certainly with everyone getting a year back, that's even more.
Yeah, that'll be tough for us too when you say junior, sophomore, who's a senior, who's where, getting that year back. It'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Yep.
Talent grow for another year. So Baylor timeout. Texas with a 1-point advantage. There's a point to the floor, Presley.
And that was Bowden in there. So what I like, Bowden came in to the middle of the court when Fields is hitting. She knows she's gonna hit that ball hard and down, and then they were able to stay in system with Presley.
Presley came in 57 kills behind Katie Stager for second on Baylor's all-time kills list. She's got to be getting pretty close, but Texas with a block does not convert for the Longhorns, so getting closer to that second all-time mark for Presley in her career. I think she's going to get there.
I think she is. I'm feeling pretty confident about that.
She had 29 last night, 18 tonight, 43 swings, hitting 256. The efficiency good, but they've just asked a lot out of her. 65 swings last night. That's a lot of wear and tear on the arm.
It is. And now Baylor doing a nice job with their serve, forcing Texas to serve to set Fields over and over again. And the Baylor block doing a really nice job, either touching it or getting a stuff block.
4-0 scoring run for Baylor. Presley, she needs 29 kills tonight to get into second on that all-time list. She does have 18, and let's show you some of those for the reigning ABCA National Player of the Year.
You know, and every time I watch her play, and even on the replays, it's like, I don't know, it's a girl, I'm a girl fan girl, whatever you call it. It's unbelievable just watching her rhythm and how quick she gets on the ball and fast, and her energy, her fire, and how she leads this Baylor team has been so impressive over the years, and just how she gets better and better with every single match.
My favorite, the give and go that I've dubbed, where she receives the ball and then boom, just explodes right there. Holly, you got more on the reigning Player of the Year.
Yeah, one of the things that I love, things like a bee. I just have never seen an athlete like Juliana Presley.
I love it. And you know, it is hang time really in volleyball as well, but you say she has a big window. That's what we say. You know, some players have a really small window, but she can hang up there, so if the set's low or high, she can wait for it and still get on that ball. And that's what you're talking about. That's that unique ability that she has, Holly.
Well, here, I'll give you one, and this is high praise. You remember the iconic image of Michael Jordan in the dunk contest, going from the free throw line to the hoop? That's what she looks like when she's going towards the net on the swing. She is that good, that fun to watch when you see it in person, the explosiveness, the power, not only off the floor, but through with the arm. Her team needing every bit of that. 7 of the last 11 have come off her arm, but getting a helping hand from KJ Johnson.
And she's doing so much for this Baylor team. First of all, a smart play by her, causing an overpass and redirecting that ball at the net.
5-0 run for the Baylor Bears. That's stopped by Asia O'Neal.
And that was fast. You know how well Presley blocks that side? An impressive slide for O'Neal. She gets all the way to the pin, just beats her there, beats her quickly, is able to hit just right outside the block.
And you contrast these two sides, 18 kills with Presley, but for Texas, Skylar Fields 9, Eggleston 9, 6 for Butler, 5 for O'Neal. It's the offensive balance that Texas has, but Baylor continuing to go to their superstar. They get to 20, leading by 3. They need this third. Texas something to say about that with Skylar Fields.
And that's the thing about Fields. She can elevate, hit over the top of the block, even though that set was a little tight as well. Still able to get a nice clean swing and hit deep into the court. I'm super impressed with what Fields is doing right now.
10th kill. She has a team high. 5th this set. Tough serve, but Baylor able to get it to Presley. No tips, ball long. It's a big 2 points. Texas trims the lead to 1 at 2019. Gabriel to serve for the home squad. Texas with the block. That net defense continuing to find their rhythm, 9th of the night.
And Fields does a nice job not going all the way out to the pin, kind of stopping short, recognizing that set that's a little bit inside. That was an intentional play by them. And Fields doing a really nice job of recognizing that back into the court.
Made it 20 apiece, but Baylor back into the lead. Get the ball out to Presley, goes off the Texas block.
She's done that a few times tonight. A ball that's fast and a little bit tight. She's done a really nice job of just spatching that ball off the top of the hands.
Van Slate to serve. Presley going down the line.
And I keep talking about Bowden. She's in the right spots, making these big plays, keeping Baylor in it, and a perfect dig. So they're in rhythm. And of course, Presley is painting the line there.
That's number 11, the freshman from El Paso for Baylor, but go back to the service errors for Baylor in this match, now 14. Giving the ball back to Texas. Riley Heinrich in to serve in front of a season-high crowd of 1,508. Tough serve, gets Van Slate to the ground, but Presley getting the ball. Texas there with the block. Double digits now, 10 for the Texas D.
And that's where the trouble happens. A tough serve that forces Baylor out of bounds. Presley off the net. Texas block gets set, too big to hit around.
22 all. Free ball coming for Texas. Gabriel into the middle, Breon Butler.
What a rally. Oh, man.
You hear the guy behind us, one of the fans saying, Bree, Bree, Bree. Wanted the ball to go to the middle. Gabriel gets it there and ends the rally.
And maybe they heard.
So not a foregone conclusion whatsoever, but with the distance between second and third, Texas would be in a great spot if they got a second win over Baylor here tonight. Presley with something to say about that out of the timeout. Terminates to the tune of her 22nd kill. Will get to serve herself. Looks like we may have another one decided by 2 points.
Yep.
Eggleston sent back by the Baylor block. Sedgwick over there with McGee.
She has got her number right now. I mean, I think Sedgwick doing a nice job, being strong, pressing over the net. I think look to see if they set Butler here on a perfect pass.
Gabriel having the range to get to that one. Eggleston with the swing. And called off the tips. Baylor thought they had the set at set point.
So he's asking who called that touch, and it looked like
Associate head coach Jason Williams up with head coach Ryan McGuire. Okay, so here we are again in the third set late. And we will have a...
No, he put it down.
Pivotal call, potential challenge.
Timeout.
Wait to see what the decision will be. It will be a challenge coming from Baylor.
He picked up the card, then he put it down. He walked over there.
We saw this last night.
Wasn't quite sure if he was going to challenge or not, so we'll see.
And it does, you see that right finger of number 17, McGee. Look at the right index. It looks like it moves.
Her right hand.
Right hand, pointer finger. See it there?
I mean, I see it, kind of. Yeah.
The call on the floor was a touch.
Yeah,
so
I actually see it go back from this angle, I think.
What's important is there enough. And really, that other angle, it seemed like, to me, most definitive. But most importantly, what the officials see and what this call could do, because it would give the set to Baylor and we'd go to 4.
Right.
But if not, 20 would look for a 3-match lead in the race, and the call is in, not overturned. Baylor going to the challenge. Texas getting the call confirmed. 24 apiece, and Texas gets the ball, a chance to serve out the match.
So look for them to serve. Well, it's Josiah, so she'll probably just go ahead and back and serve a tough one. Maybe looking at Harrison getting the ball or Presley out of the back row.
Texas, one of their best servers. And that goes long. So that fine line between aggression and just giving yourself a chance. Texas with the serving error, their 12th of the night. As the substitution, Bree Coleman, we saw this earlier, coming in to serve. Set point for Baylor, needing this third to go to a 4th.
See if they send O'Neal behind, or they just keep her in front and have Phillips, excuse me, stay behind.
Baylor 15 serving errors themselves. And when you talk, it's going to be probably 6 points that decide this match. You give away 15.
Stop.
It hurts. 25 all.
I'm sure Texas is happy Peterson's at the service line right now. Probably will go after Harrison here.
Slate on the receive, going for Presley, who was moved over to the right side.
That was nice. Well, that's that back row attack that you got to watch out for with her. And again, that pass moved Sedgwick forward, but she goes against the flow, and you see Eggleston just short of where she needs to be on that swing.
So now another set point for Baylor. Sedgwick to serve. Make it now 16.
It's so frustrating, and as a coach, you know, they're over there going, man, just keep the ball in play. And again, we talked about it being a little bit contagious.
And it goes to the other side. Eggleston sends one long. So these two teams giving each other opportunities. I know for you as a coach, this is, you're covering your eyes.
It's hard. I'm not even coaching either one of these teams. Let's go over and in.
Set point again for Baylor and Bowden. That serve is in. Texas with a chance for O'Neal on the slide. So that a little cleaner. Asia O'Neal gets the ball back to Texas, staves off set point, and now she will serve.
Nice swing by O'Neal against a big block by Presley. We like to see that matchup. Those are fun matchups to watch.
Presley off the Texas block. She may get those 29 kills tonight to move into second on the all-time list. 28-27 now. Graham Schreiber to serve for Baylor. Set point once again for the Bears. Out to Presley off the Texas block. And that'll wrap up set number 3. Baylor backs against the wall. Extra points played. 6 points have decided this match thus far. We will go to a 4th. 2-1, Texas leading. Moving to first in the rally scoring era for the program all time. But the all-time kill leader list. She gets to 29, she'll move up into second.
Well, that's a big difference. I mean, I played in that non-rally era when the matches were 3 hours long.
We had a 3-hour one last night.
That's true.
So third in school history, you expect here going to a 4-set, 5 more that would change. The ABCA National Player of the Year, Big 12 Player of the Year this season, though, as she had said to Holly Rowe, surgery on both knees in the offseason, some hamstring issues as well, so still finding her rhythm. Coach McGuire had said about 90%, but her 90% compared to most other players in the country is still more than good enough.
So it looked like they intended on starting KJ Johnson. KJ, but it looks like Vandermark is in. He may have just either written it wrong on the, sometimes that happens when you're used to writing your lineup, you write it over and over again. But Vandermark back in.
So that's number 10 on the right-hand side, you see in the front of your frame. Vandermark just 1 kill. Johnson with 4 of 9. Ball finds Vandermark, but Texas there defensively left-handed with Eggleston.
A nice play on a tight set.
Heinrich to serve. Safe to say maybe both these teams going to have some serving practice?
I would think so. They're going to be working on that a lot, and
I've just watched your face. Every ball that's gone into the net, and for a former player, former coach. 29 cumulative service errors for these two teams as Butler into the block. Bears do get it over. Gabriel will try Phillips off the arms of Bowden.
Phillips is doing a nice job, staying steady, finding different areas of the court. I think it's nice that they have that option. They always have her to go back to when they need a side out as well.
And you talk serving, you see for Yosia, no jump serve there.
Yeah, I thought they would have put her down a little bit sooner, but now she's going to this serve, which is, it's still a tough serve for her. You know, Coach Elliott says, hey, her floater is still a really good serve, but sometimes when you don't have the rhythm on a jumper, you gotta reel back on it a little bit.
Good awareness there. Sedgwick off the pass. Sees the angle, the opportunity. 4th kill of the night for the setter of Baylor.
And as she's been in the whole match, setting, running the whole show, not in and out like she was last year, and last night, excuse me, doing a really nice job.
29 assists for Sedgwick. Texas going to Phillips, but too much cut. Juice on that ball. Came over to our penalty box area that I've...
Good thing we have it there. You may have gotten hurt.
We have germ protection and we have loose volleyball protection. Eggleston. That push down. I want to ask you about Eggleston because we've seen her dominate for Texas every match. She has paced them in kills. She does have 11 tonight, but 40 swings. Baylor, their defense. Coach Elliott had talked about the differences in the defense. What are you seeing for the Baylor defense and what they're doing to Eggleston?
Well, a couple of things. They're getting some nice touches on the block. So if they're serving tough and forcing her to hit balls out of system, they can set up their block as well. So if they're not getting a block, they're getting good touches. And that's creating opportunities with the back row. So the back row defense is handling the ball well off of the block, and they're able to convert in transition. So I think they're just slowing her down a little bit, and that's what you're seeing more than anything.
Harrison converted for Baylor there. It's now 5-3 in their favor. Go back her way again off the Texas block. And this is what Baylor, when they're operating at their best, what we saw in sets 1 and 2 last night that they took. Harrison helping out 29-27. Carried that momentum over here to the fourth, leading 6-3. Tyler Denning, Salima Rockwell, Holly Rowe on the sideline. As we have now seen 9 sets across 2 nights. And hey, if we're getting tired, I can't imagine these players, the fatigue coming off the emotions of last night, having to do it again this evening.
Well, it's a lot. And, you know, these are big matches. You know, you talk about what it means to both programs and how important these wins are, quality wins. Right now in this season, when they're looking to the postseason in the spring. So it's a big deal. So you're not just physically exhausted, you know, you're emotionally drained a little bit too. 5 sets against a really good team. That was a battle last night, and coming back to play again is tough.
Something Coach Elliott had really given credit to his staff to with the unique wrinkle of this season. Getting that turnaround, not only day to day, but within the week. They've had to retailer their whole approach, their sports science, and what they have done to make sure that the athletes are ready to go to play back-to-back matches. The good news for Texas is that here at home, they handled business. Not really pushed straight set victories. Baylor as well. They had an 11-match win streak prior to last night. They had lost 5 sets across those 11 wins. So these two teams, quick business, but these staffs having to reconfigure with the wrinkles of this season. But from what we've heard from the coaches, most of them old school, they like it. And Holly, you have some more on that and the uniqueness of this season and recovery.
Attention to Texas and how in between each set, they have a very organized snack selection. Look at these 2 boxes. This is a safer way to do it. There's little drawers that pull out. Every snack is individually packaged in a little baggie, so they're able to get some of those hydration gummies and other things to keep their energy up as this match goes on.
Now, I've seen those, Holly, when we were both manning the sidelines last year for the Baylor-Texas match. Texas has gummy bears. Sometimes you see bananas, you see peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Salima, once again, just like when you played, right?
Certainly not when I played, and certainly not at Penn State for Russ Rose. There are no snacks.
So just another way that the game has evolved, but it's great to see these student athletes get that benefit to help with their recovery, because then it does translate to what we see on the floor.
It's so important. And I mean, the research has shown, and there's so many phases and how it's evolved, how sports have evolved with, you know, just training and then weight training and then recovery, now nutrition and mental training. There's so much involved. And, you know, I joke about the snacks, but it's important for them to be able to last.
Holly, if we go 5, you need to raid those snacks. We're going to need some gummies over here. You got us? In order to do such, Baylor needs to win this set. They're at a 3-point advantage. We went 2 hours and 40 minutes last night at the 2-hour mark. Here this evening, we knew it would be a battle coming in. These two teams have delivered. Throwing punches back and forth, swings back and forth. KJ Johnson swinging there for Baylor, but going long. Jenna Gabriel to serve. Her team trailing 8-10.
Nice play by Presley, just tipping that ball. It's a low set. They tried to keep her in system a little bit. Ball's passed off the net. She's able to tip and tool off the top of the block.
Triple block there for Baylor. Gabriel tried to keep it alive.
And Brandschreiber with a nice serve, forcing Texas way out of system. Baylor able to get a triple block up there.
And Salima, just the feeling in the building, crowd a little quiet, energy clearly on the Baylor side. Texas needing to find a play. Fields in the block for Baylor.
Yeah, and you can definitely feel it, like you said. You know, you watch their faces, and they're trying to get something going, but you know, ball's blocked and not a lot of pursuit. No one's deep on coverage, and they're kind of just looking at each other. So they need to find a little bit of a rhythm and pick it up here a little bit.
Maybe that play will help out, going to Breon Butler.
That'll do it. But definitely give credit to Baylor and what they've been doing a nice job at the net, serving-wise and blocking as well. But they got to.
Salima, you look at the box score for last night, and I see kind of the similarities in where Texas, they win that close third set, but then they were dominant in the fourth. Baylor winning a close third set, and so far here in the fourth, it has been all Baylor.
Yeah, a little bit more in control. It's interesting how, you know, this game is so funny. It's a fickle game of volleyball. Momentum swings and how people are playing at the time. But this is that offense with, look at Presley just elevate. She doesn't look tired. That's for sure. She's been getting all the swings, jumping higher and higher, but playing well.
Baylor won the first two sets last night by 2 points. Texas winning the first tonight by 3, the second by 2. Then 29-27, so eerily similar to last night. What we're seeing thus far, Baylor at a 6-point advantage. That'll lead to a Texas timeout. Maybe Texas feeling some of that on their side. 5-1 run. Holly, so we see balls flying out to the crowds, people touching them. You got more on the sanitation of the balls this year.
That's right. Everything's new in this world with the pandemic, and I really enjoy what they say is the ball crew. That's on their t-shirts right here. Every time a ball comes in or out of bounds, they run right out here. They grab the ball and they take some spray. They wipe off the balls. They put them back on a rack. The ball crew is hard at work. I don't know exactly why they are in shorts. I think it's hilarious and adorable that they are in shorts, like they are getting a great sweat and workout in. But shout out to the ball crew.
Shout
working
out to
hard.
The ball crew indeed. Hey, you talk COVID. You came in and you got your fancy mask. You told us about your mask and where you got that. Coming over from the football side and what we've seen across all these sports and what the protocols are to be able to be in the arena and to play. Tell us about your mask.
Okay, this mask is very special. You'll notice every football coach in the SEC and many, I think even Tom Herman might have one. It's called the Shima 97 and it is from South Korea. It's nano fabric. And as you can see, it's see-through. You can see right through it, but it's very safe and lightweight. The Auburn Athletic Equipment Manager manufactures these and came up with these. So if you want one, helmetfitting.com, but I'm just telling you, it's the best mask in the world. Lightweight, breathable, you don't sweat. Hello, hi, hello. Don't get mad at me, I shouldn't tear my germs. There we go.
Well, we can hear you, that's the most important. Happy to have you with us this night. And we gotta get you out of here so you can go get some rest. You're working the Texas football game early tomorrow. obviously see Texas Game Day here on Longhorn Network. They'll get you ready, the whole gang. But still some work to do here. We may go to a fifth if Texas cannot find some points here. Baylor leading by 6. Look at the difference, 385 for the Bears since the first 2 sets.
I mean, that's a huge difference offensively.
And coming out of the timeout, Van Slate with the service ace. Four aces now for Baylor. Make it 5.
And Van Slate doing a nice job serving, and I know Texas is in their little huddle trying to keep each other under control, but this serve just hits the end line. Excellent serve there. Now they've got to see who's going to step up for Texas and take some leadership here.
7-1 run for Baylor. Presley off the Texas tips. That her 30th kill of the night moves her into the second place spot all time for Baylor in career kills, now 1,701. Breon Butler trying to keep this at arm's length. I go back to it. It was that 4-set last night. Texas won 25-13. These matches look like exactly the same, just flipped right now for Baylor.
They really do. I mean, it's this swing of momentum and energy and vibe right now. Baylor definitely has that feel, and you can kind of see it on the Texas side right now, where they're just trying to battle their way through this set right now.
And you talked about that last night. I had asked you, when as a team here, you're in a 9-point hole, potentially going to 5, what you're trying to do.
Well, you know, they're just trying to find some rhythm, some energy going into the next set. I mean, that's the key. So it just doesn't completely get away from you and you go into the 5th set not feeling great.
What had been working for Texas, what hadn't been working for Baylor, now reversed. Baylor getting a block of Eggleston, 10-2 run. Another block there. Sent back by Kara McGee, making it an 11-point advantage for Baylor. Eggleston finding something there, going away from the big swing to the power tip.
Well, and sometimes you got to just mix it up. Just if you can't find that rhythm, or if the blockers, sometimes they've got to beat on you, and they've got a good rhythm with what you're doing. So Eggleston trying to find some different shots and different ways to score.
Talked about the second night of the back-to-back. Coach McGuire for Baylor had said the best team wins that second night. Showed you the numbers earlier. Baylor 6-0 in second matches. They'd won all 18 sets. This obviously they would need to go to 5 to win, but they are in good shape, 4 points away from doing such. It's on the Texas side.
So much of what you're seeing on the Baylor side is a lot of good touches by McGee, putting her hands in front of the block and forcing Texas in bad position, but that's Harrison again tooling off the inside hand of the block. And Baylor with all the momentum right now and feeling it.
One of the big differences we have seen in the last 2 sets, Baylor, their block really all night has been good. They're out blocking Texas 14-10. Texas, they knew it was coming. You heard the communication, but Presley, surgical.
Well, that ball was a little too high and slow for her, so she has to tip this ball, and they see it, but they see it a little bit too late. A little confusion with who's going to grab that ball.
31 kills, 6 digs, 2 blocks. Sedgwick just completely missing that ball. $18 service errors for Baylor to 15 for Texas. Longhorns, though, trailing by 10. Baylor 2 points away from sending this to a winner-take-all 5th set. Texas trying to eat into that lead, but most importantly, try to find some momentum if they cannot come back here.
Sedgwick thought that ball was going out of bounds and knew she should have played it at the end. A smart shot by Eggleston out of the back row.
O'Neal will serve for Texas. Ashley Shook in for the Longhorns, playing here for the final time in front of a home audience, the senior.
Wow, I don't know how she got on that ball, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was a fast swing way off the net. Presley got on that quick.
Like I said, Jordan-esque. Like any good leaper, she has that hang time like you and Holly talked about. Set point for the Baylor Bears. Can we see a second night of 5 sets, winner take all? And we will. Both matches going the distance. And much as we saw last night, Texas sending it to 5 with a 25-13 victory, and Baylor dominant in this 4th set, as we will play 5, winner take all here in Austin when we come back. They are 15 points away. Texas 15 points away from moving to a perfect 12-0 and really commanding the lead in this Big 12 conference. But Baylor, their defense at the net, 14 blocks tonight.
Well, that's where they've really turned it on. You know, they forced Texas a little bit out of system, but they have been just surrounding the ball at the net, blocking balls, getting good touches at the net, and that's been a huge difference maker for the Baylor Bears tonight.
So here in the 5th, both teams getting an extra challenge. I believe both sides having 3. So could it come down to that? Last night goes to a 5th, Texas winning 15-9. They started initially there and just were able to keep Baylor at bay. So now the reciprocal, what happens tonight in the 5th? Eggleston leading the way for Texas, but she's swung at 46 balls, .065, the hitting percentage. Baylor, their defense, holding opponents to 131 on the season coming into these matchups. 182 for Texas on the night. They hit .071 in the 4th set. Baylor hit 346 overall on the match. Baylor hitting 243 to Texas's 182. 1 set, race to 15 to decide it all. Texas starts with a service error. Knew for both of these coaches that they were going to learn a lot about their groups across these 2 matches. Figured to learn a lot these next 20 minutes. Into the middle, Breon Butler, big answer for Texas. We haven't seen that.
We haven't seen it because they haven't been passing well. You know, they need to handle the ball to be able to get Bree on the ball and get some energy.
Not the most emotion, energy that we've seen for Texas. Granted, playing deeply behind most of the 4th set, but quick side out, Heinrich to serve. Texas there with the big block.
A monster block by Texas on that swing by Presley. Look at Brian just get herself in position. She is fired up, and this is the spark that Texas needs right now to take them ahead.
Texas has not been out-blocked in a match this season. Baylor leading it by 3 in the blocking category. Gabriel there. Will range under this one and try for Eggleston. Eggleston still just trying to find that attacking rhythm. You had talked earlier about what you were seeing from Eggleston and the difficulties Baylor throwing at her, opposing.
Well, you know, there's a couple of, tough sets, and when you're not in rhythm consistently with the ball, with the set, it's hard. It's hard to find it there, so.
Texas going to the challenge card. So they will be looking at a touch on this ball.
And I think it's one of those, why not? You have it. It's
get that extra challenge already too. You don't have to burn a timeout. Pivotal moment.
Correct.
Early on.
Yeah, I didn't see anything, and I think she missed pretty high on this one. But
I'm with you. It looks like the ball just well clear of 17 McGee.
That's the angle. Yeah, there's nothing there. But again, opportunity to kind of have an extra timeout, reset your team. They've got a little fire, get them going, talk strategy a little bit in this fast set to 15.
Baylor's going to take a chance to dance at least their bench, keep the loose vibe over on that side as we see the ruling come in. No touch. You go back to the keys of the match, you remember the start of the show. It was a long time ago.
It was a while ago.
Better distribution for Baylor, looking for that. They are being paced by Presley with 32 kills. Harrison with 8. But for Texas, trying to dig back in as they get a point from Phillips.
Nice swing by Phillips, and that's what they need. They need to just count on other people, right? Can't just count on Eggleston, just like we talked about with Presley. They need to move the ball around, get some other people opportunities, which they have been doing, but continue to do that.
Tough serve from Texas. They get the ace. Josiah there.
And there's that float serve we talked about. She's got a really tough float serve. She's got a mammoth of a jump serve, but this float serve is super effective.
Where does she go here? Texas getting the clean pass, back set to Phillips. Phillips, a couple crucial plays here in the 5th set early on.
Well, and Josiah comes in, flying in with this dig, and Phillips with a nice swing and tool off the edge of the block.
So Texas, 3-point advantage leads to a Baylor timeout. Broadcast tomorrow. Texas game day here on LHN. A good one for you. Back-to-back 5-set matches between number 3 Baylor, number 1 Texas. Longhorns have not lost a match after leading 2-0 since September 18th of 2016, in which they lost to Wisconsin. Baylor timeout with Texas's lead at 3. Phillips continuing to have success, believe now 3 kills here in the 5th set.
Hey, if that's what's working, that's what they're gonna do. Transition ball, gonna set Phillips. She's the hot hand right now, and that's what you need to ride. In a game like this that's so short, ride the hot hand.
A 4-0 scoring run for Texas, and that in a race to 15. Feels like much more in a regular set to 25. Presley blocked, and it may not be all offense for Eggleston tonight, but no block probably bigger than the one we just saw.
No, this is where you can make up some ground there, and she just catches Presley here, pressing over the net with a huge block.
That is superstar on superstar for these two respective programs, a player of the year and a player in Eggleston that has player of the year potential. Crucial serving error from Texas. They're 17th, and it broke that scoring run that they had. 7-3, ball back to Baylor. Difficulty on the serve receive. Texas, though, figures to get a good look here. Eggleston with the big swing up from Presley. Free ball coming for Texas. Phillips once again. Molly Phillips may end up being the story of this match and what she has done in the 5th set.
Well, hey, somebody needed to step up, and that's what we talked about right before the set started, and that's what you got with Molly Phillips.
Fourth kill of the set for Phillips, and all coming at huge junctures. It's Peterson serving for Texas, up by 5. Shook in for Texas, out to Eggleston, who finds the back line. But you were on it. You saw Coach McGuire up quickly from the bench, green card up for the challenge. As we will take a look and see if Eggleston did get that ball in. That was right in front of me. I thought it was in, but it was fast.
I thought it may have been out, but so, I mean, we're replaying the touch. I think he was calling for an in or out, but at the same time, this is what they packaged right together as a challenge. So if the ref sees anything
new to this season,
that's right, during this final contact on Texas, I mean, that angle.
That angle, it looks like it catches line, but that's hard.
Do we have an end line?
The other angle, here we go. Ooh. In from the officiating crew. And it will stay the point to Texas. So wow, Texas really in that 4th looking very lacking of emotion, of juice. Wouldn't say lifeless, but Baylor, all the momentum was on their side. But that's how these 5th sets are funny.
It really is, and it's a totally different team on both sides of the net right now.
Now this largest crowd that has been here at the Irwin Center to watch Texas this season to their feet. Big response from Harrison.
And I like that. They moved her in a little bit, tried to change some things up offensively. It wasn't a traditional set all the way out to the pin. So Baylor trying to make some changes and move some stuff around.
Moving some personnel around as well. Sedgwick, who we've seen struggle really back at the service line, sitting down. Williams coming in for as well. KJ Johnson coming in for Baylor. Asia O'Neal on the slide. That's the clutch go-to for Texas.
That's it, and a nice set from a long way away by Gabriel. And O'Neal, just perfect timing on that set.
Sedgwick back in for Baylor. But for Texas' story of this 5th set, it's the right side and what they've got. Offensive-wise on the right side. Molly Phillips, the 4 kills. What we just saw from Asia O'Neal. Texas getting offense from the right side here with a 6-point advantage.
Well, and when you're able to exploit an area of the court or a particular blocker, that's what you're going to do. That first swing by Phillips, you know, started it all off. And it was like, all right, let's keep going back to her. As long as she's in the game and in the front row, I'm going to set her. And that's 4 kills, I believe, for Phillips in the 5th set, which is huge.
See, the first 4 sets, 3 kills. This set, 4. Now, were Texas to win this, it will not give them the Big 12 championship. That's what's at stake. We figured these two matches would go a very long way to decide it, but because those TCU matches, as noted earlier, rescheduled for the 28th and 29th in Fort Worth, Texas has 4 matches left to play after this. Baylor, were Texas to win, they would have 3 losses, so still in play the conference championship. But Texas, very impressive here in the 5th, and it would be an impressive 2 wins over Baylor if they can get 5 more points.
You know, it really would, and that's the thing. Yes, there's more volleyball to be played, but the importance of these two, they both realize how huge this is within their conference, because they know, hey, why are the first team? I'm the second. We're the second team, and we're in first and second place right now. And we got to at least get one of these. And you know that's what Baylor's thinking right now. Hey, if we can steal this at this point, you know it's going to be super important for them as they move the rest of the way through the conference.
And we're dealing in what we know. We know there's an NCAA championship. We know the AQ will go the Big 12 champion. So that potentially what is at stake. Texas would be at a 3-match lead in the race for the Big 12 title. Longhorns serving 5 points away. Baylor trailing by 6. Eggleston doing the serving duties. Much needed point for Baylor, gets the side out. Bowden will serve for the Bears. Gabriel over to Skylar Fields. Haven't called number 5's name in a while, but a big kill from the sophomore.
A huge kill off this perfect pass, and you'll see Harper for Baylor just start taking off on the slide on the perfect pass. Leaves Field 1-on-1 for a huge swing.
11 kills now for Skylar Fields. That tied with Butler for the second most on the team. Eggleston still in the lead with 14. Asia O'Neal making mom and dad proud.
Getting it done from the service line. She's doing it at the net, and now she's getting it done from the end line as well.
Service ace for Texas, their 5th in the match. Texas 3 points away. Make it now 2. Ashley Shook in on that one, playing in front of the home fans of Texas for the last time will be honored post-match. Big contribution. (13-5), Longhorns with a big lead. That's the X factor.
That's it.
We have said Asia O'Neal, the X factor for Texas, all the different ways she can contribute. Another ace, match point for Texas. Not quite. Chance for Baylor. So O'Neal will sit down. Ramschreiber to serve for Baylor. Texas scrambling. Look for Presley, tipping down the line. Eggleston is there. Shook for Fields, and that'll do it. 2 5-set thrillers. The difference, though, tonight, Texas, no momentum going into the 5th. It was all Baylor after they won the 3rd and the 4th. But 2 nights of volleyball, 10 sets between these two teams, Texas prevailing in both.
An unbelievable weekend, or Thursday and Friday, of volleyball. Watching these top two teams in the country just battle